Well. Returning to Big Fish, Errol Spence Jr. supposed to be coming back by July 26th against Tszyu in Australia. Definitely interesting fight. As you can tell, Errol Spence is actually one of my favorite fighters. He has been for the past decade and a half since he's been fighting. I love truth machine type fighters the way he is. You know, guy who shows up ready to go, is not taking no bullshit fights, no tune ups, jumping in the water and trying to swim. I give him credit. I watched a little bit of their press conference today, and it was definitely interesting. I will say, based off of the way I heard Earl talking and stuff like that, I know that's usually his natural way of speaking and things of that nature. He doesn't really get too high or get too down when he talks. He did sound like he was slurring a little bit when he was speaking, but I didn't put too much into it, too much stock into that. You know, he looks energized. It looks like he's in better shape. And I know this is going to be a catchweight fight at 158 pounds. So it's going to be a good look to see where Errol Spence is at compared to where he was 3 years ago when he fought Terrence Crawford. Um, Obviously, Tszyu, he's coming off of a victory his last fight, and he's been more active, obviously, in the years since then. So this is kind of, to me, I would say a retirement eliminator, but it's just one of those fights where whoever wins this fight definitely is going to have an opportunity to have a championship fight down the line with somebody, or a few more showcase fights in the future with guys at 154 and 160 pound division. Here comes the Errol Spence. Like I said, I made a video a few years ago talking about what's left for him to, what's going to be left for him. What does he have left in the tank? The clock is ticking. I know the retirement talk has been annoying him as much as it annoys the fans. Understandable. That's why it's going to be interesting to see what we see. I don't know what to expect from Errol Spence. I'm not going to lie. He's going to have a new trainer. He's going to have a lot of new different factors to deal with when it comes to this fight. He's fighting in a new weight class. He's got a new trainer. He's been out. I don't know how much training he's been doing as of late. You see little clips here and there online about things he's been doing in terms of his training, you know. And he even talked about it during one of his interviews for this fight, where he talked about how it took him a while to really get back into the flow of things when it comes to boxing and stuff like that when he got in the gym. So if there was one thing in terms of his boxing that I want to see improve, is his head movement and his footwork. Those should be the two main things that especially you looked at the Crawford fight, that he needs to clean up. Now, being that he's 36 years old, I don't know how much he can clean up in 3 years off. And at that age, it's just, once you get to that certain age, it's just hard to have any level of evolution to your game. You're kind of stuck in the game that you've been bred it in for the past 10, 15 years. So, and he kind of talked about that as well. But if you could see a few new wrinkles to his game in terms of his defense and his footwork, is two of the key things I want to see against Tszyu. I know Tszyu and them, they had a little bit of heat in the press conference, a little bit going back and forth. You know, Earl was was pulling Tszyu's card a little bit, basically saying, I'm not going to sit here and waste my time being fake with you. You're going to run your mouth on social media or interviews. I'm not about to shake your hand. He tries to keep it respectful, and I respect that about Earl. I respect that in general. If you're going to run your mouth and talk, be that person the entire time. Don't be somebody that's just going to talk shit on social media and then come back and try to be buddy later on. It don't work that way. A lot of guys in this era do that a lot. It's kind of lame, I'm not going to lie. It's kind of corny and weak. But like I said, as far as the X and O's, this fight, obviously we know what Errol Spence is about. Work behind the jab, busy fighter, wants to punish the body, you know. And Tszyu has been in a few wars as of late. 2 fights against Fandor, where he got beat up pretty badly, you know. Took a lot of damage in those fights. And he's up there in age as well. He's got a lot to prove whether or not he want to continue his boxing career going forward and what he has left in the tank. So it's going to be interesting for him as well. If Errol Spence is able to get this win and able to win in good fashion, he's definitely going to have the pick of the litter in terms of guys he can fight at 154 and 160. Not in terms of the champions, but in terms of like top contenders and stuff like that. You know, there's a lot of interesting matchups at the 154-pound division in a when it comes to the junior middleweights. It should be interesting. I can't wait to see what we see in terms of Errol Spence, what he looks like in the ring. I'm just hoping if he looks like maybe 85-90% of what he was against Crawford, it's gonna be a dogfight between him and Tszyu. We can show some wrinkles to his game that are more of an improvement compared to what we saw against Crawford. Because against Crawford, like I said in the previous video, his footwork wasn't there. Crawford looked way faster, way on point, way better with his distance management. And his punches seemed to have more effect on Errol than Errol's punches had effect on him. It just looked like guys that were fighting in two different divisions that was in there fighting each other. I want to see where Errol Spence's defense at, his head movement, his speed, his footwork, how quickly he gets acclimated at the weight and in this fight, and how quickly he can get into a rhythm. We'll see what happens. You seen what Fandora did a few months ago when he stopped Keith Thurman. That would be a fight I would like to see going forward. But Errol Spence has got to show me in terms of what he is at 36, 37 years old. We got to see what he looks like now before I say he can jump in the ring with somebody like Fandora, because Fandora is a tough out for anybody. I don't care what anybody says. Fight somebody like Fandora is going to be a tough bout. So it's the return, like I said, it's the return of the big fish. I'm happy that my boy's back, and definitely will be supporting him and hoping he get the dub. If Tszyu, like I said, is a tough guy, he's got a lot to prove, obviously. He's always had a lot to prove when it comes to the upbringing he came up with and who his father was. And I know he say that stuff doesn't bother him, but you could tell when people bring it up, it kind of irks him a little bit. So both of these guys could have one foot in, one foot out the door in terms of their boxing careers, and this could be the fight that sends one of them over the edge. To be honest, as a fan, as biased as I am being right now, I hope that's Tszyu heading out the door rather than Errol Spence, because Errol Spence is leading in the boxing world for sure. He makes things interesting because of his skills, his never quit, never say die attitude. I love that about him, and I'm hoping he's able to become victorious and put himself in the mix in the 154 and 160-pound divisions. But we got a few months out before that fight. I'll definitely do a breakdown the weekend of the fight and get my predictions who I think is going to win and what the keys are for both guys to win the fight. But like I said before, I'm just happy the big fish is back. But you guys take it easy. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Post your comments in the comment section below if you have anything you want to say and your opinion about it. Put in the comment section who you guys think is going to win this fight and by what fashion, whether it's decision, knockout. What do you think of how Errol Spence looks and stuff like that coming back? How's the conditioning look? How does his body look? Does he look like he's ready to get in the ring with a seasoned veteran like Tszyu, especially as a comeback fight? Let me know. But this has been Terrell Takes. You guys take it easy. Like I always say at the end of my videos, until we meet again.